This is Mr. Abbey from the Academy of Science and Citizenship in Syracuse. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today, we're not going to be doing a brain pop video. We're going to do a big review of all the stuff we've talked about so far in our nature series. Everything from springtime and what causes the seasons through the classifications and adaptations that plants and animals use to survive in the different habitats that they live in. And we're going to make all of our way into the conservation and the ways that we protect our environment and our ecosystems to keep them happy and healthy, the ways that we try to protect the different kinds of habitats by not clearing them, recycling, all that good stuff. So I want to give us a little bit of a review here in our video. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we went through, and then I want to take a little time at the end to talk about how we're going to start doing things a little different from our science content from now on. So getting right into it, if you remember correctly, we started off with springtime. Why does that happen? What kind of changes do we see? So if you remember, springtime happens when the sun is here in our orbit around it, and we remember that the planet is on a tilt called its axis. The axis is where it spins on, but we know that axis is on a tilt. So when the sun's here and the top part of the planet is pointed towards the sun, we know that up top we have summer. But when we go around the sun and the bottom part of the planet is facing the sun, it's summer for them, but it becomes winter for us here at the top. We go around and around again. Springtime is when we're kind of in the middle. Fall is when we're in the middle on the other side. Then we started talking about the different kinds of things that plants and animals need when we talked about animal classification and gardening and plants and the kind of life cycles they have. We know that both plants and animals both need food, either if you're a plant, it's from the sun. If you're an animal, it's from eating other things. We need space so that you got the space to grow. You've got space from other things that are trying to eat and drink the same food and water that you need. You need space so that you have room to live and grow, maybe build a shelter if you're an animal. You need water. Every living thing that we know of needs water, at least that we know of so far. If you guys discover any kinds of life that doesn't need water when you guys get older and become researchers, you let me know first. Then we got into the kind of adaptations or the changes that animals and plants make over time to their bodies, the changes that they need to do, or adaptations that they get to survive in those different environments. So if you live in a hot environment like the desert, you want to get away from that sun, or if you're a plant, you want nice thick stems or maybe the thorns to protect you from the sun, to keep yourself from losing too much water. If you're an animal, you want to be able to find and keep as much water as you can, like camels keep a little bit of water in their humps, and they keep a little extra fat in there for food, so they don't have to eat as much, they don't have to drink as much. There's a lot of different adaptations you can have for that. If you live in a place where there is lots of water and maybe the temperature isn't too bad, like the oceans, you're going to have to worry about a lot of competition because it's kind of place where lots of different animals are. Everything's kind of connected, so you're going to have a lot of creatures passing through. You're going to have a lot of competition for what you need. So maybe you need to find a way to avoid predators. Maybe you need to find a way to find prey. Maybe you just need to be able to get what you need while other animals and plants are trying to get what they need too. So you're competing for the same resources. In the Arctic, you might need a nice thick layer of blubber like we did with our blubber glove. Maybe you might need to find ways to keep yourself warm or warm yourself up from the inside. Or maybe you just grow when it is warm, if you're a plant, for a short period of time, and then you stay dormant over the winters. There's lots of different adaptations or changes that plants and animals use to survive the different challenges in their habitats. Then we got into our conservation series. We started talking about how important food webs were, how important every step in the food web is. If you're just something like the little humble grass, you're still important, because without the grass, you can't have the animals that eat the grass, and the animals that eat the things that eat the grass don't have as much to eat either. So if the grass goes away, then stuff like the bison can't eat the grass and can't make more of themselves. So even stuff like wolves and lions, they might not eat the grass, but they need the bison to have lots of grass so that they have more bison to eat. So every step in that food web is very important because you take one piece out, then the things above it have a harder time finding their food. Maybe if the things above it go away, like a lion, there's no more lions in Africa, all the gazelle, there's too many of them. They eat up all the grass and then they don't have any more grass because there's no lions keeping the numbers of antelope down so they don't just eat themselves out of house and home. Later on, we got into talking about the extinct and endangered species, how we protect them, how important it is to protect our ecosystems and keep them healthy. We learned that ecosystems are not like a habitat, which is just a place where something lives, but an ecosystem is all the different habitats, all the different living and non-living things all working together and how they connect. And that was really important, especially when we were talking about the oceans, because everything is connected there. We're going to do a little review of all this stuff in our quiz. It's going to be nice and short, just like we always do. And I'm going to leave a little portion at the bottom for you guys to give me your thoughts on the topics. I'd really love to know what you guys thought of this whole nature series. So let's get right into that. Got our nature series review, a nice big picture of the earth, because all of earth is nature. All of us are in one big ecosystem and environment. Even if you might seem a little disconnected because you're not near a desert or an ocean, we all are affected by the things that happen in all these places. First off, the question is, what causes the seasons? Now, is it how close or far away the earth is from the sun when it goes around? Is it how the earth turns on its axis and which side is facing the sun at any given time? Is it the tilt of the earth and which side is pointed towards the sun in our yearly orbit around the sun? Or is it what kind of weather we get for different parts of the year? And what causes that? We know that plants and animals all need a handful of things. Do they need places to hide and warm, cozy shelters? Do they need a place to get out of the hot sun? Do they need nutrients, water, and space? Or do they need light from the sun, soil, and water? Now, to get what they need from their environment, plants and animals all blank or change to survive the challenges in their different habitats. We know that different habitats all have different kinds of challenges, whether you live in a desert or you live in a freshwater habitat like we talked about, you're going to have very different challenges. What do they do to meet those challenges? They what or change? Do they adapt? Do they grow? Do they hide, or do they move or change to survive in their different habitats? Next one we have is another one of those select all the correct answer kind of questions. So I want you to pick every single one that you think is right. Every kind of habitat has different challenges for plants and animals trying to survive there. What are some of the challenges from our habitat series that plants and animals have to change or adapt to survive in the different environments? Again, we're going to pick all the answers we think are right. Are some of the challenges in different habitats extreme heat or cold, like we were talking about in our desert and Arctic series? Was it lots of competition from other plants and animals? Was it avoiding or protecting themselves from predators? Is that a challenge that you might run into in different habitats? Or is finding food and or having access to energy from the sun a challenge that you might have living in different habitats? So what kind of challenges do animals change or have adaptations for trying to help them survive in these different habitats? For our last multiple choice question, it is, every living thing is important in an ecosystem. Remember the little building we were trying to make, where every little piece is important. And if you take one piece out, it all just kind of falls apart. Kind of like if you were building with just building blocks instead of Legos, because they hook together. If you're just building something up with building blocks, if you take one piece out of the bottom, it all falls down. If you take the piece, if they're all leaning together, because in an ecosystem we all kind of lean on each other, if you take one piece out of the middle, it all falls apart. So it's important to keep all in a healthy ecosystem. You need all the parts to keep everything together. So every living thing is important to an ecosystem, or in the food webs they live in. What happens if a plant or animal at the bottom of our food chain goes extinct or is removed from its habitat? So when you're at the bottom of the food chain, that means other plants and animals eat it. So like mosquitoes, problem at the bottom of the food chain because there's lots of animals that eat them. If you're a rabbit or something that eats the grass in the grasslands, there's probably a lot of different things that eat you, but the grass is at the bottom because you eat it. So what happens if one animal is removed from our little ecosystem house? Do smaller plants and animals or pests like bugs and weeds, do they not really matter in food webs? If one plant or animal disappears, does every other animal hurt too in an ecosystem? If something in the food web disappears, creatures that eat it have a hard time finding food. Or is it that some living things play no part in keeping an ecosystem healthy? There are just some animals that are absolutely not necessary in our little ecosystem house that we built. Now for our long response that I always want at the end of these so I can hear what you guys think, my question is, now that we're wrapping up our series on the natural world, for now, what do you find most interesting or want to learn more about in the natural world? So what did you find really interesting? I find ecosystems and all the connections that all the animals have and plants have together, how we all rely on each other. I find that really fascinating, but I want to know what you guys think. What did you find really fascinating? What do you want to learn about in the natural world? Maybe it's a particular animal. Maybe it's a kind of habitat. Maybe it's a habitat we covered, but there's something you were wondering about it. Maybe it was an animal that we didn't touch on at all. It's like, why didn't we talk about blue whales? I want to learn more about blue whales. Let me know what you guys want to learn a little bit more about. But I wanted to save a little bit of time too to talk about how we're going to do things a little different next time. So for next week, and the end of this week too, I'm going to start a little something where I want you guys to get out a notebook. All you need is a notebook, maybe a piece of paper and a pencil. That works too. And we're going to start doing some experiments in our science periods, and we're going to write notes on them. I'm not going to be doing them every day. We're probably going to have one video at the beginning of the week where I'm going to run an experiment for you guys, and then the next day, or for the course of the week until Friday, I'm going to have you guys take notes on it, and I want you guys to send me your notes. When I start this up tomorrow, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a heads up on how I want you guys to send me pictures of your notes. We're going to work out a system that works out for everybody, but make sure that you've got a notebook, a piece of paper, and a pen or a pencil. Maybe even crayons would work. Doesn't really matter. We're gonna work on our note taking, and we're gonna see some really cool experiments. So we're going to start opening that up tomorrow. If you guys also have any questions on there, feel free to put it in the long answer response or get a hold of me on Dojo, send me an email. All of the above are good answers. So again, make sure that you guys are keeping it awesome, that you're staying healthy. I hope you guys get some of the nice weather that we've been having lately. I know it's been snowing off and on, but it's nice and sunny out there now. I know we're about to go take a walk, so I hope that you guys get a chance to enjoy it too. You guys have a great day.